NPP has led a number of political parties to demonstrate against the suspension and what appears to be the subsequent, not subsequent, we are not there yet, but what will be ultimately the removal of the CJ. Honorable, let me start with you. Were you there? Were you part of this demonstration?
Yesterday, I was not able to join in the morning.
The question should have been, why is it in red?
We'll get there.
Yesterday, I was not part of the early procession, but I managed to observe and followed closely all the proceedings. But let me take the opportunity and say a good morning to your viewers. And let me also add that I'm in red, naturally in solidarity with the event yesterday. And
so now you have your answer.
yes. That's why I'm in red. And I think that there are two key things. The independence of the judiciary is at stake. It isn't really about even the woman. Let me be very frank with you. It's about the position and the fact that that position, like any of the arms of government, need to be very carefully protected. And it's not about it being NDC government. This protest is supposed to be a mark for Ghana to be very careful in the future, because I'm envisioning every president now comes and he will want to nominate the Speaker of Parliament and then literally change the CJ. If we get into that, then what we are trying to do is that we are really empowering the executive more so than the other branches of government or arms of government. And that is where I worry. And let no person be confused about that. Today, yes, President Mahama has truly the 2/3 in Parliament. And knowing the character of the NDC, I know for sure that after all this romance, when it is put to question in the chamber, the 2/3 will sing the chorus of, yes, let's remove her. But this will be a very low point in our democracy. And that is where I'm coming from. It could be Yaumenu, Amasewa, whoever it is not my problem. But I think that that arm of government, the independence of it is at stake. And the checks and balances in our system ought to be carefully looked at. In some ways, we were lucky in the second term of Nana Akufo-Addo to have an opposition, quote-unquote, Speaker of Parliament. And I must say that though he was, quote-unquote, annoying sometimes, he was literally putting the executive in check so that the executive could not get away with anything that the executive wishes after cabinet. So it was really in the interest of Ghana that God gave us, as it is, a speaker who had a different political ideation, to the extent that even the NDC thought it remarkable to repeat the same person, though I don't see that same bravado in the speaker now, because I think his party is in government. But I really think that what is at stake now is not necessarily the woman, but my point is that is the independence of the judiciary being thrown out. And in addition, the sins for which she's been crucified. Already, President Mahama, His Excellency, has now nominated 7 people. So where is the equity in all of this? Whereby you say that this woman is being crucified for saying that we should expand the number of Chief Justices.
Judges at the Supreme Court.
Yes. About 4, 5, or let me say 6 months ago, the NDC was the one explaining to all Ghanaians that the number of justices we have for this country, for our population, for our size, is too much. and that we should not fill the room to an extent. And we're even talking about the maximum number of justices we should have as a country, and the fact that there's no cap, and we need to put a cap there. And then you spring on us 7 justices, which means that even the 3 that we were screaming about to get towards the end of our tenure was even child's play. So I'm troubled by the fact that, based on what I've heard, one of her sins was, telling Ghanaians that we need to expand the justices, and that the workload requires that she gets additional hands. Yeah. So if that was one of the reasons why the petition was put against her, and within the same span that we are about to, as it is, politically assassinate this woman, the president of the land has put out, not in gossip, this is in writing, that he's nominating 7 very qualified people to the bench. And I think by virtue of the president's action alone, literally being logical, I think that it means that the woman's concept of adding on, as it stands, makes sense to the president. And for that matter, I think, it might be better that the NDC administration come out boldly and say that, listen, we want to remove this woman for political reasons. And if so, then let's not do all this hula baloo. And that it is not about her competence, and it is not about anything except for the fact that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo made her. And since it was under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's presidency, now that we are in town, new sheriff in town, we want to prove to Ghanaians that we can remove the CJ. And for that matter, I worry that is that the new trend. So in 2032, when there's a new president, even if it's NDC or MPP, the president then has the sole prerogative.
There's 2028 before 2030. Why do you jump on
my math. My math. No, I was even making a point that even if it's NDC, the next president after Mahama would then say that, me too, I'm changing the speaker, and I'm changing the CJ, and it becomes a new trend, and that is where I worry. And mind you, I mean, people have made arguments that the EC was removed. The EC is not necessarily an arm of government, and for me, this is, we may have erred doing the Electoral Commission one, agreed. That is a different argument, but Electoral Commission is not an arm of government. This is serious. 3 arms of government, and for even Parliament to impeach the president is not a small task.
Exactly. Yeah.
So thank you very much. It's not a small task, and for us to take this path, it will be injurious to our democracy, and this also weakens the judiciary. I stood up when our president was changing Osei Mensah Bonsu for a reason, not because of Osei Mensah Bonsu, but we felt that as parliamentarians, if we are there and the executive can just one day wake up and change our leader, it isn't right. And on the same grounds, we stood also for Afenyo Markin, in the sense that I felt that on the same principle, as parliamentarians in our chamber, if an outside body has more control to change our leader, then it is worrying. I mean, it's like, City or ChannelOne, the media guys here, you may have a leader, then all of a sudden somebody who's an investor just comes in and changes your lead person. It's a bit worrying without any recourse to you. So in that sense, I am scandalized, and I am hoping that Dugbe and my boss, the emeritus Greater Accra chairman, would agree to me that though they may support this in principle and in political allegiance, they are worried that you know, this is injurious to the judiciary, injurious to democracy, in the sense that once this is set, two wrongs don't make a right. In the future, any president now will come and then, for any frivolous reasons, decide that, oh, you know, I don't like the way this justice wears his cap or her cap. So, you know, based on the petition, whether frivolous or not, I suspend the person. And you know, suspension is like guilty before even, you know, having your chance to make an argument.
Suspension is just to step aside so that the investigations or the committee does its work.
For me, you know, the thing is that so for anything that I write about you, I'm justified to just remove you, you know, and that is why I worry. And my
but
point,
then I have an opportunity to defend him.
Well, we'll get further into this, but really, to end my argument, my point is apolitical. My point is about the democracy of this country and the fact that there are three equal arms of government, and one may be far-reaching now, in the sense that the basis for which, you know, we remove a chief in this country. I mean, Asante Hene has demoted about 3 chiefs in the last 3 years. There were very potent reasons. There are many petitions against other chiefs. He has not removed them.
Right.
There should be potent reasons. And I stated one that
You think these petitions don't cut it?
the woman's offense, one of them largely was the fact that she recommended that we expand the judiciary.
It was the process that is being questioned.
Listen, the process, in fact, the process did not end. How do you tell somebody that because you're envisioning to do something, that is a Kwekwanansi arrest?
But steps had been taken in advancement of this.
When we were growing up, Kwekwanansi will ask his child, when I buy a car, how do you drive it? When the child says, I'll drive it this way, Kwekwanansi starts beating the child without even you know, buying the car. In this case, we all know that last year, the justices were not confirmed. The NDC minority coup majority then, based on, you know, what was happening, made everything possible not to make it happen.
Very well.
So that process did not pan out for whatever technical reasons. So how then do you hang this woman for a crime, quote unquote, that was not committed?
That is 1 out of 3 petitions.
Oh,
even now we are heard there are about 5 petitions.
Oh, but they won't hold water. And then to end it,
yes, please.
I wouldn't have said this, but one of the ones that is very ludicrous is her expenditure, and I must admit on air that if we should afford that same yardstick to the parliamentary services, then I think we should equally remove the speaker. You see, we cannot do one thing for one arm of government that, quote unquote, and I'm just making a point here.
But the conditions of service are not same.
Please hear me out too. I'm just making my point that one that I have heard in passing about maybe travel expenditures, you know, involving family members and things like that. And I'm just saying on air, categorically, that if that same thing is expanded to the parliament, then we should have removed our speaker 10 decades ago. You understand? So let's be very fair-minded in this decision, because no arm of government is superior than the other.
Would you like to petition the parliamentary service?
My whole point is that we need to be fair-handed in our dealings.
Very well. Thank you, Honorable. Thank you. Let me say good morning to the Chairman Emeritus, the former Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Joseph-Addo. Honorable, you are welcome. It's good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have you.
You know, I was in Kweo with you, but I didn't manage to get to your car before you left.
I see.
Yeah, you were very swift. He was in Kweo for the summit.
You decided not to be swift.
That is my whole land. So you were actually on my soil. I'm from Mkwaiso.
So,
Yes.
The MPP led some other political parties to protest yesterday against the suspension of the CJ. Were you able to monitor?
I did.
What do you make of it? And the reasons they are ascribing. They argue that it is purely political and not legal.
Let me say good morning to your viewers, yourself, and my Dogbe and I don't know why his money. I heard that the Osono was dead, and that they are mourning. The elephant is dead. Then,
this is solidarity.
MPP, they are there, so they're having they are in mourning. That's why you see.
It
was just announced. When Baumia and the people went to fight at their.
Thank you, Tom.
The thank you, Tom. So they've been asked to wear red, and that is what we were doing yesterday.
Right.
Unfortunately for us, we are in a country where certain party, when it suits them, interpret the constitution the way they want it to. Unfortunately, when we were writing the constitution, they decided to boycott it. And they forgot that those who wrote the constitution were ordinary Ghanaians. And they used their common sense to write the constitution. The legalities were minimal. So we have a constitution which has endured for over the past 30, 35 years because of the people who sat down to write the constitution. And now they want to interpret the constitution. Here we are. This is not the first time that a Chief Justice a petition has been brought against the Chief Justice. In the last days of President Akufo-Addo, a petition was sent to him. And what did he do?
But that didn't see the day.
No. Please, just don't jump the gun.
Step by step.
Fufu is now going to the and we are now having the soup around it.
Right.
You understand? What happened when the petition was sent to him? He said it was a conveyor belt. And what did he do? He sent the petition to the Council of State for them to advise. The advice of the Council of State meant that there was no need to pursue the petition. So he came in. So this was the first time, and there was a process that was followed. Are you telling me that JM is not a Ghanaian? He comes from a different planet. So the same system that Akufo-Addo used, when JM is using that system, it's political.
Double jeopardy.
The outcomes are different.
No, forget about the outcomes. We are talking about the process and the procedure. The outcomes comes after the process and the procedure has been followed. Is that not so? Yeah. As we sit down now, the outcome has not yet been determined. Yeah. So why are we talking about the outcomes are different? A process has been triggered, and the process is specifically stated in the Constitution, Article 146 up to 11 or 12, what the process should be. And GM has done that. Have you heard the president coming to open his mouth, even to comment on whatever has happened? If he comments, then he's taking a political decision. But he hasn't commented. So what's the politics in this? There's no politics there. They ascribe the politics to previous comments made by John Mahama while in opposition, while campaigning. I was asking NDC lawyers to prepare themselves to take up positions. I believe in that statement. But I was at that meeting.
Oh, okay.
Why shouldn't we encourage our members to go to the bar? Why? Why shouldn't we encourage our members to go to the medical school to become doctors? Why don't we encourage our members to become architects? So because he spoke about law, it's a different ball game. So if he has spoken about the Ghana GMA, what is asking people to at least uplift themselves to get to certain, and we are all Ghanaians. The system is there. So encouraging people to go to the bar, is that a crime? No. It's not a crime. So you see, people want to justify things when they know what they are doing is wrong. They just have to put people in a certain straitjacket and start defining things that are not. What's wrong about that? At my age, I even want to start law so I can go to the bar or even become an electoral commissioner. I'm a Ghanaian, I'm entitled to it.
Yeah.
So what's wrong about that? So nothing. So he has done not whether he spoke before.
You'll be a fine electoral commissioner, though.
Precisely, and I'll make sure he never win an election.
That's prejudicial.
Your temperaments are good.
Exactly.
You can be, you know.
Yeah, you understand. So
it'll be a blessing to.
Thank you very much.
State.
Exactly, it will be a blessing.
Yes.
You understand? So we should situate this in the context of the Constitution. Simplicity. The Constitution. What I want you to tell me is that JM has violated the provisions of the Constitution. Then me and you will join a demonstration against him if he violates the Constitution.
We haven't heard talk of violation of the Constitution, but
Exactly.
we've heard talk of abuse of discretionary power.
How? What does
I mean, technically, this is double jeopardy.
No, how? The Constitution says that if you receive this, do this, and you are now talking. Which
It starts with shall, and then intent.
I think
where the discretionary power is, it says may.
What you are forgetting is that when your father born you, gave birth to you, he didn't give you birth as an English person. If you're a Fanti, you were born a Fanti.
I'm an Asim boy.
Asim boy,
Yeah.
so you are from Central region.
Yeah, Asim.
So
I'm not from Dumping.
so you were born an Asim boy. Then you decide to go and learn somebody's English. You just go and somebody's language, and then you want to interpret what the person whose language is. You want to now interpret what that person, and then you are saying shall and may, and that's what we are talking about. You are talking about discretion. The person has sent the thing to a council of state, and you said he must use his discretion not to. You are telling him that he must have used his discretion by not sending the. Well, no, he is just following the process. That's all. Because if I, the petitioner, also send the petition and refuses one, I can even impeach him.
Yeah.
The president is impeachable. The speaker is impeachable. The CJ is impeachable. CEOs and ministers are all impeachable.
Like the finance minister.
Everybody is impeachable. So nobody is above the law for us to talk about discretion. That nobody is above for us to talk about discretion. Let's get it straight. Our brothers want to interpret the Constitution the way they want to. And you could see that has backfired. Their country, their minority that went beating the policeman.
No.
Oh, when we're talking about the was
He's
quiet.
defended
that one-
please,
that
please,
one-
says it was
please,
an act in
That
self-defense.
one. Anyways, you talk. I really want to bring it up, but I will have to correct it.
He's allowed, Chairman.
No, please.
He's actually
Please,
responded to a police invitation, and he
please.
says it was an act in self-defense.
We act in defense. He must be as a leader. As a leader, right? He must be circumspect. That is why you're a leader. So if the president go about slapping people because of self-defense, are you going to say it was self-defense? No.
But would you admit that if the president feels threatened, he must act in self-defense?
That is why you have security men around you. No, don't go and justify.
In this case, it's a security officer that is allegedly
we
attacking.
all saw the video. This policeman was standing with the crowd around him. Where did he stretch his hand? I mean, you see, I was watching this and I was listening to their communication director, and I said,
Richard Anyaba.
we have got kids watching us. Kids are watching us. And we, the so-called leaders of this country, tend to lie on the face of it. We discredit ourselves. Everybody saw it. The policeman never threw his hand. I've been in a mob before. I've been in a crowd before. This demo, you could see that the police were not even holding trenches. And I mean, they were not even holding trenches. You couldn't see them holding guns. Unlike the previous 8 years, where you will see barriers and dogs and all. No. So what provocation? How did he provoke the policeman to have for self-defense for him to? We all saw it. Don't justify these things. You, the media, don't justify these things.
It's a part of the video that we saw that involves the minority.
So go and look for the.
But where they are accusing the police, we have not seen.
So go and ask as a journalist. your cameramen were there. At least go and look at the rushes of the tape and see where the policeman. If you look at where the policeman was standing and where the guy was where Afenyo was coming from, I mean, even a class 1 child would tell you the policeman did nothing wrong.
Right. He's been invited by the police to assist in investigations.
And the policeman should charge him for assault. I'm even the policeman. I'll lodge the complaint and charge him for assault. Just even touching my brother like this is an assault.
Yeah.
And he's a lawyer. He should be charged for assault. We should set example in this country. People cannot get away because you are MP. I keep telling you, the MP, everybody could have been an MP. You unfortunately for you, because not all of us can go to parliament. So that doesn't give you the audacity to think you are the king of kings and to do whatever you wish you do. So that policeman should charge him. So all that they did yesterday, right? 5 months into a governance, the government is doing the right thing. Due process is taking on. So for me, all that petition they sent were all childish. They were childish because nothing will move President Mahama, and nothing will move, if they say political, if they say move the NDC, not to adhere to the constitutional provisions in this country. That's what we are going to do.
Very well. Thank you, Chairman. Larry, let me hear you on the demonstration yesterday. The conduct by the demonstrators themselves, the police, and of course the substance of the petition presented.
Yeah. Well, thank you. First of all, I think that it was largely peaceful. Yeah, based on what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, they went to the Supreme Court and then handed over a petition. But the Supreme Court, I think there was some, confrontation as well. But according to them, as in the demonstrators, they eventually, reason prevailed, and the petition was handed over to the Supreme Court, and then they moved away. Then they went to Parliament, and it was at Parliament that, the incident involving Afenyo happened.
Yeah.
We've seen one video.
Exactly.
We haven't seen the other one. I've heard that there was, what Afenyo talked about happened from colleague journalists on the platform, and some of them actually took part in the demonstration.
Okay.
But, they haven't been able to produce the video involving the police officer punching Afenyo. For me, I think we should be able to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, then we can situate all our discussion in a proper, context.
Yeah.
But in the absence of that, journalists as we are not there just by virtue of the fact that I have some soft spot for a political party, but I'm also there, to report on incidents. Okay, so media houses could send about 3 or 4 or 5 journalists to cover a particular demonstration, and one you are reporting on what Honorable is going to say, and then I could position a reporter on Honorable Chairman Adekoka, and I listen, observe him very well, because maybe he has some mood swings or something, and then he could snap, and then we get a very good story.
Yeah.
Now, reporters, it's not what do I say? It is not enough to say that, oh, we saw what happened. Where's the video? There were so many video, so many cameras around. And we haven't been able to capture that. I think that they will be helping our Afenyo Markins if they are able to produce that particular video, so that we can be able to put our discussion in a proper. In the absence of that, I think that it's good that the police have invited him. In some of these instances, you have the security agencies also, going undercover and then holding cameras and all, all that. You could have police officers dressed, police CID, and then they also are holding cameras.
Cameras, yeah.
So, I think that till now, the absence of that video with
showing
the police,
the alleged attack
is not good enough. Let's, whoever is watched it, whoever was there, should produce, something. Now, and then they went to the Jubilee House. For me, I couldn't agree more with Standogbe. Okay.
Also?
Yes, when he said that it's been peaceful, that he appreciated the fact that this thing had gone on peacefully and that it was incident-free and all that. Okay. And then took advantage of Afenyomakin's statement when he said that, you know, the Hawks must give way to, you know, is it centuries or something he mentioned, and that, you know, the retaliatory politics is not good enough for this country. It was Afenyo's words that were used against him. I saw the look on his face, you know.
I think it was quite smart of Stan.
Oh, yeah. Trust Stan. I mean, you know.
It was quite...
so
it was quite smart of him.
Yeah, so I think that it went well. Okay. You could see the body languages of Nana B and then Justin Ahiagba, Justin Kodria and so on. And then until I think they realized that Stan had gone beyond, you know, the price he paid for. And then they started, you know, heckling him. But that's, I mean, it's politics as usual. But I think that by and large, we should just be consistent in all that, the things we do. I mean, people have talked about constitutional amendment. Constitutional amendments, you know, don't come on the basis of, oh, we've seen something and it's wrong and so on. So let's go to court, let's go to parliament and then have it amended. It is in testing of the law, then we appreciate the fact that, oh, there's something wrong with it. Like, I mean, Honorable said that, hey, he thought that this provision about suspending the Chief Justice and so on and so forth and all that, it's not good enough, and that it's politically motivated. I disagree with that position because we were here when the same, I think Anodom prayer yesterday. I didn't see him there when he petitioned President Mahama to have
Loretta Lamte.
Yeah, exactly.
Loretta Lamte. Yeah.
And the same process, a petition, a committee, I think suspension, and an eventual removal. Okay? Fast forward, President Akufo-Addo comes to office. And I mean, Anodom Prayer was hailed for doing that. It was his democratic right. He was in parliament. He had, I mean, he had issues with whatever had happened. Again, that one also had to do with some procurement issues here and there. Hotel bills, rent here, and so. The same thing, procurement. Do you get it? Fast forward, President Akufo-Addo comes to office. And then a certain lawyer by name Masualo Opoku-Agyemang, who had been a friend and like a foster brother of Charlotte Osei. I hear both the law school, people who are in law school with him, I've spoken to a few of them, and they tell me that, listen, Opoku-Agyemang and then Charlotte Osei were like, you know, twins. Okay?
That's hearsay.
It's not hearsay. It's not hearsay. I'm talking about classmates who knew about their relationship in Ghana and their relationship in Canada.
Based on your same thing, there's no video of that. So.
That's a good one. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll get a video one day. You know, so then, I mean, for me to petition, you know, against you that, listen, someone should remove you based on whatever relationship we've had. I mean, that should be a biggest betrayal. But Charlotte went through the process. Indeed, when the petition came, the president had issues with it. They returned the petition to Opoku-Agyemang. Opoku-Agyemang then went and wrote it, you know, amended it. Yes, amended it. Yes, and sent it back to the president.
This country,
amended it, And then the president said, so far Akufo, listen, this day has come, look at it. And then so far Akufo, the Chief Justice then set up a committee. See the strange thing that happened. Days before the committee will start its work, so far Akufo issued a statement, if you do recall, you can Google it, saying that journalists should desist from reporting on this matter, or else when you do, you'll be cited for contempt of court. It's online, you can Google it. Do you get it? So even the media houses were gagged. If you have exclusive, don't report it. Okay? And then the process went through. The report came. And Charlotte was removed on what? Procurement issues. At the time, it wasn't wrong. At the time, the MPP praised it to the skies. I mean, you just have to Google, their defense of the removal of Charlotte.
But
It's there. The videos, the videos are there.
I also think that the NDC had opportunity to protest in terms of their unhappiness with the Charlotte removal. They made it known. And if we're using the same avenue to make it known that we're not happy with the proceedings, I think democracy allows for that. And allow us to be the good opposition party. We have to.
I've heard a number of your folk admits
we owe it to Ghana
that the Charlotte removal was wrong.
Oh no! Listen, I made it clear here that two wrongs don't make a right. And you see, I'll pray the NDC. There's a path we took.
You're making me lose my thoughts.
Sorry.
Larry, please.
There's a path we took that didn't help us.
Because I want to come to you on an issue where you can also take blame, because you had an opportunity to address this matter, and you failed when you were in power. But let's let Larry land and then.
Okay. So then this thing came up, and she was removed. Okay. She was removed.
A dream over issues.
Then subsequently, who came in? Jim Mensah. Jim Mensah, when she was at IEA, had a lot of issues with EC. The same issues presented itself or themselves. And she was, rabbiting. In journalism, I know you know what rabbiting means. When you jump from here to there, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, and that went through, and everybody saw through that, and we are here.
So is it the retaliatory politics that we are seeing?
It is not retaliatory.
You do me,
For me, we are testing the law. It is the test of the Constitution. Tomorrow we could have a president being impeached. Okay, and so I think that this whole process, we need to test our Constitution. Then it puts, all this amendment that we are talking about, that the law, the Constitution is over 30-something years, and that hasn't been tested. We put it in proper perspective. For me, let's test it. Now, what this also prevents is this, that tomorrow, it will prevent somebody with any frivolous petition, okay, to the presidency and demanding your removal, for instance, as a Chief Justice. It prevents that, because then a threshold will be established as to what constitutes, a prima facie case against a particular,
head of department or institution.
So for me, let's do that. I've heard comments about the 7 nominees.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? These are career judges. Circuit court, 20-something years, in some cases. I started reading about Justice Jamefe when I was in secondary school. Okay, so newspaper in the morning, you go to the library, and he's convicted somebody, or he's presided over a case, and so on.
Most of the judges, he has trained all of them.
Yes.
But I don't think there's an argument about.
No, there is an argument. I'm coming. There's an argument. The argument here is that you and even you alluded to that. You said that yes, one of the cases against the lady is that she proposed 5 judges.
Expansion. Let's put it that way.
And so that is the reason why. But that is not part of the Constitution. However, then that President Mahama has rather kicked against the 5 and then brought in 7. The 7, I'm coming. That the 7, they are appointing them so that it will give President Mahama, he didn't say this. He didn't say this. But it will give President Mahama a 3rd term in office.
That's an allegation that has been made.
Let's stick with what I have said.
What he has said here on the show.
Because my point I made was, and let me be very clear, that in one breath, we were chastising the woman for, proposing the need for expansion. And I'm talking in terms of the NDC fraternity, because I was in Parliament when many of them argued that the Supreme Court justices are too much for this country.
It was the mode of transmission. Here, she wrote to the president.
Oh.
That was the problem.
Not the Judicial Council.
not the Judicial Council.
One of the arguments that the NDC raised. So, Chairman, are you telling me that as of 6 months ago, NDC felt that the Supreme Court justices were adequate and that even then we needed to add? Because I remember that though the process was different, I agree to that.
Yeah.
But one of the pressing arguments that the then opposition was saying is that the Supreme Court, the numbers for this country is enough.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I personally do not have a problem with the people he has selected, whether the and
It's just the addition onto the bench is where your
my
issue
point
is.
is that, you know, America has 9 justices, for crying out loud. This whole America with 50 states, 9 justices.
But do you know the difference?
Yeah, do you know the difference?
Do you know the
I listen. Every state
state
has
has
a
one
Supreme Court.
Yes,
But be it as it may, they have 9
Yeah.
for the entire
and
country,
it depends on
or
the
shall I
time-
say continent.
Well, you see, these are
understand?
some of the reasons why we
So-
need
so-
we made
so
the
Ghana-
amendments, because
you know, why
our
not-
constitution
why
gives us
not
a minimum of
embolden the
9,
high
but
courts?
does not place a cap.
Let's
There's no
Embolden
ceiling.
the high courts.
Let's correct what you say.
Let's strengthen
In
the high
America,
courts.
The highest body, with the Supreme Court, has got certain cases that are referred to them.
Yes.
Certain cases. There are not all cases.
Because each state has a Supreme
a
Court.
Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So why don't we
that-
embolden our high courts?
we
And must you go to Supreme Court because of your length of service as a High Court judge? No, then that means America, they would have been loading their Supreme
Right.
Court
Right.
with a lot of people.
Larry,
So I think
some
that
of these judges
know,
were judges that President Akufo-Addo moved from
Yeah.
the High Court
Yes.
to the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
Okay? They are judges.
But are you hearing my argument?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I'm also making my point.
Okay.
Right. And land on it and then
Yeah.
we'll
So
do
then,
another shot.
these are some of some of these judges were moved from the Court of Appeal, from High Court to Court of Appeal. So they were qualified under President Akufo-Addo to go to the Court of Appeal, but suddenly they are no longer qualified to go to the Supreme Court under President Mahama. But mind you, we were here when a certain Justice Gau was moved from the High Court, and within a matter of 6 months or about less than a year thereabout,
Nominated for
he was
Supreme Court.
nominated for the Supreme Court. And I mean, his colleagues were like, why? Meanwhile, others had been at the High Court for ages. Are we saying that Justice Dennis J, a celebrated jurist,
Yeah.
is not qualified to go to the Supreme Court? Justice Bright Mensah.
But you see, Larry, I don't think anyone has had issue with the individuals.
No.
It's the addition onto the bench.
Let me answer that.
Because
Let me
if
answer
the
that.
argument back then when 5 were nominated is that there are too many judges on the bench, then how does 7?
The argument with the 5 at the time was that most of the judges had attained their retiring age, or they were about retiring. I think a mention was made of Justice Herita Mensah Bonsu and many others. So let's check the time left for them to attain 70.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure this discussion will be properly situated. And here I blame the government communication, that these are things that they should have been doing. You've got, I mean, why? Their ages are out there in the public domain.
Yeah.
Call and say that, listen, this person, how many years
And that's
more?
the counter
How many
argument
months
actually
more? I mean,
against
do you understand?
the issue of addition onto the bench.
No,
because a number of them will be leaving
leaving.
due to their age.
I want
Bafo Boni
to.
will be going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bright Mensah will be going by early next year. I think Herita
Yeah.
also. Most of them are on there. But
Listen, we are singing the same song,
I want
though.
to address this.
We are singing the same song.
Look, your Attorney General wrote an opinion
At the
that-
time.
At the time,
Correct.
that there's justification for additional members because the workload at the Supreme Court was too much. That they need additional Supreme Court judges. our
position at the time
against that was that we felt that President Akufo-Addo had then appointed over 80 judges onto the court, and the Supreme Court itself he has appointed so many. That was the argument that no.
Yeah.
And then here we are almost close to an election year. That time they were doing that around May, June. Election was coming in December. So we felt that no, you should wait for the next government to come, and if there's a need for us to increase the...
To also have a share of the pie.
It's not the matter of the share of the pie. Look,
I don't have a problem.
Let me land, please.
Obama was stopped for one whole year.
Obama was, yes.
For one whole year. So, I mean, let's be very...
Appointing Garland to the Supreme Court.
Let's be just,
What that I'm saying, like Larry said, we shouldn't shift the goalposts when the ball is now not in our court.
We are being consistent.
Oh, no, you are not being consistent.
No, you are being consistent.
You have been everything but consistent.
Mama Kasa.
We have been consistent.
Please, I'll tell you.
Mama Okafa
My pain in this country is the hypocrisy. I can't stand it. That's my pain. You see, when it's red, it's red. When it's black, it's black.
Okay.
And that's my pain. Me, I don't care whether you are NDC, NPP misbehaving. I'll talk about it. But the way we are teaching our children, you see, it means that most of us, we don't have conscience in this country. It's lacking. But when we were growing up, when we were kids, we were growing up, we had conscience. You understand? You know that what you were doing at that time, you had a motive of doing it.
Yeah.
And only 3-4 months thereafter, just stand on where you were standing before.
Stay consistent.
Stay consistent. Don't come today and they say, oh, Mahama said this and he's doing this. No, he's been consistent following what you were doing. He's been consistent because you started the process and he's following the process. But here, because Mahama is not a Ghanaian, he comes to Azerbaijan.
I mentioned earlier that you had an opportunity when you were in power to address some of these things. And I'm saying this in reference to a 2020 Supreme Court ruling in the case of the Republic versus the CJ and the Attorney General. Justice Jones Duche alluded to this fact. I mean, he regarding the Constitution and formulation of structures for the removal of Article 71 holders. He sounded these alarm bells, but nothing was done about it. And today we are here.
Listen, I must admit that I've been one of the people that sometimes have gone against the grain, in the sense that
you pay the price.
Oh yes, oh yes, and that is why I have been very loud about the fact that two wrongs won't make it right. And I'm praying that the NDC tread cautiously. I shouldn't be advising the opposition party, but you know, when you're in power, certain things look so right, though it might be wrong. And I'm only saying this because the Constitution and then the democracy that we have must be cherished. And for that matter, if Ghanaians booted us out for, for lack of a better word, mismanaging the powers that we had, they ought to tread cautiously. This CJ thing has a ripple effect on many of the jobs that the NDC has fired people for. And let me say this categorically, that it is the pain of many civil servants who have been removed from post, largely because they worked under, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. I mean, listen, I know of office holders that some of our party people were pissed off about the fact that they worked at the NEC, and when we came, they are still there. I can cite the likes of even secretaries to the Minister of Health. I'm saying this today, that people felt that once you are a new minister, MPP has come, the secretary who was working for the former Minister of Health should be removed. And the same with even NHIS. I mean, this path that we're going, we are almost as it is right now, telling all medical doctors that, hey, if you wish to be CEO of Kolebu, then you have to start now doing politics. You have to be NDC or MPP. And mind you, if you work even as a doctor without party colors under a certain administration, when another administration comes, you'll be booted out. This path will not inure to the benefit of this country. And somebody has to pull the brakes somewhere. I mean, listen, the small fishes are struggling, but sometimes it takes the big one to make a case.
You know what they say about when you're in opposition, that's when you say some of these things.
Oh, no. Listen. I sat here and told you that when our party was removing Oseiche Mensah Bonsu, I stood for him. And I stood for him because I felt that the executive body should not have the sole authority or prerogative to change our leadership.
Your leadership.
And on the same principle, when Afenyomakin was being tested, I stood up for Afenyomakins, not because of Afenyomakin, not because of Oseiche Mensah Bonsu, but on the same principle that you do not change our leader for us on your own whims and caprices. When you show no regard to the pack that he's leading.
Right.
I hope you get where I'm coming from. So I've been consistent in that regard.
Very well.
And I'll always fight for, as it is, people who are on the you know, let me say, the vulnerable.
Right.
And if my party even did it wrong, does that mean that the NDC should continue on that path? I think that Ghanaians are holding all of us to higher standards. And you see, when you have power, how you wield it also makes you either superior or great.
Very well.
And I'll pray that the NDC machinery,
I'll come to
you know, as you move on. I mean, today is the CJ.
Yeah.
You know, and let me just admit that as we sit now, even headmasters of schools are now being colored as NDC MPP.
That was created by the MPP.
Who started it?
And my point is that it doesn't make it right. We need to talk about it.
Right.
So that we stop this. Because institutions, if this starts, then even students will then say that, oh, this teacher is NDC, so I won't go to lectures. I mean, listen, we need to stop it.
Very well. It's the polarization that's killing us. Even our
stop it.
various worker unions, we see what is happening.
We need to stop it.
Larry, I'll come to you. You have a final take on this, and then we can move to the assets declaration and the launch of the code of conduct. But let me take a quick break. This is Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne TV. We're having an interesting conversation regarding the removal of, or the suspension rather, of the Chief Justice and the demonstration from yesterday led by the New Patriotic Party. Larry has a final take on that, and then we can move to other matters.
Yeah, sure. We've often heard the opposition party, you know, rain accolades on themselves. Talking about how they are apostles of rule of law, and you know they are believers of democracy, so and so, on my edge, the sea hall, and all those stuff and all. They even go further to give you constitutional cases where that they put before the courts, and then you know the country benefited hugely. Transparent ballot boxes, and then the voter ID, and many others. Okay. For me, I think that, you see, you just don't say one thing today, and then the next morning you are saying a different thing. Indeed, they have tested this whole stuff. Charlotte Osei, it was tested. Vivian Lamte.
Yeah, Loretta.
Loretta. It was they who tested it. And all that came out. So they are the ones that tested this whole thing. And not Dompre. Maswalo Pokwajima, who became the head of legal of the 2024 campaign, MPP campaign, okay? And then suddenly, another group or a group of people have petitioned another president over the Chief Justice. And, I mean, everybody is crying. You know, it's a threat on the democracy. The president is, you know, scheming to have a third term in office. If they know Mahama very well, I'm not sure they'll be saying some of these things. Anyway. You know, so I mean, there's so many. They would have to come, you know, back again, because I know for a fact that one of the reasons why Professor Jane Opoku was, you know, renominated as a vice president was because President Mahama just want to finish his 4-year term and then go away and then throw the party back to whoever. You know,
so you're now spokesperson for Mahama?
No, it's what I know that I'm saying. I'm not a spokesperson. Indeed, I'm not here on the basis of that.
I'm just checking.
Okay, but you are a spokesperson for
the MPP.
Okay, but I'm not here for NDC. He's here for NDC.
I understand, but you are quoting.
If you listen to Mahama, anytime he makes his appointment, this is a legacy term, a legacy term.
Right.
And here's somebody who opposed the Ivorian president, the Senegalese president, the Gabonese, when he was the head of the ECOWAS, when they were trying to amend the constitution for it, he told them,
Yaya Jammeh.
There was going to be chaos. You know, even Yaya Jammeh, he even has to send troops to Gambia, because he didn't want to go. So the record of the person, MPP, they got nothing to do but to spill lies. You know, get the people to think that, hey, this is because the manner in which they all of a sudden brought this 7 Supreme Court judges that they were going to be a panel to amend, but they should
interpret the constitution to help it.
Even if it is there must be a referendum. You know, there must be a referendum before even that can be changed. And they skip that part. That's what I'm saying. That it pains me.
Chairman, now that we are with you, let's move on to the matter of the
this code of conduct.
But touch on the asset declaration first, and then move to the code of conduct.
Yeah, I mean,
appointees have up to close of day tomorrow. Or face dismissal.
Yeah, I agree with the president that they were given time period to declare their assets. And more so, you even have to declare your assets before you take the position that will be offered to.
And that's why some people say that it should have been an outright dismissal and not given extra room.
Well, sometimes I want to use a certain word, but you catch discretion.
You want to be politically correct.
Discretion. Today that's a key word. Discretion.
Yeah, that's right. So let's leave it
discretion.
at that. At least they've been penalized, and they've got up to tomorrow to make sure that they declare the asset. And if they don't, they should count themselves out.
Yeah.
I think let's start. We haven't done this before. People even don't bother declaring the assets to the office. So it's a start. But you see, we have come this far because of the level of corruption and the wanton dissipation of public funds. And sometimes the display of opulence by government appointees, ministers, somebody who, before he became a minister, was even working. Within the shortest possible time, you realize that the person has got about 5 Land Cruisers. And that sends wrong signal out there. So everybody wants to be an MP and then be a minister. So you realize the corruption then goes even the party level, the party primaries. See what happens there? It is because when they look at the top, when I go, the chance of me being a minister, the chance of me getting V8, that kind of thing. Because maybe the person in the village has not even seen a Volkswagen before. But all of a sudden. So we need to correct this notion that when you go to government, government appointee, within a twinkle of an eye, you're a millionaire. We need to do something about it.
Right.
I believe it will send some signals to those who have been appointed that the country and the government are watching you. At least we all know most of them, they are beginning. I see that some of them have started wearing 3-piece suits. One day I was watching television, I saw some of them wearing 3-piece suits.
Levels don't change.
And I said, no. I wanted to see that person and tell him, try and wear our national, our normal.
Yeah.
Don't.
I know the person you're talking about.
I haven't mentioned anybody's name. Don't go that far. You need to. You need to give yourself time, maybe 1 year But 6 months, shoot 3 piece and that kind of thing, I think it's not in good taste. So let's congratulate the president for bringing the code of conduct. The previous government started a code of conduct. Unfortunately, they didn't pursue it. I think they tried to take it to parliament even for it to be enacted as part of our laws.
Code of conduct for public officials.
Exactly. We need to do those kind of things, right? So that at least nobody is saying that when they go to government, and anybody who goes to fetch water, naturally, must drink some of the water.
Yeah.
But it depends on the degree. If you decide to drink all the water and you don't leave some for to come and drink,
Some have longer throats.
then that's where the problem comes from.
Right.
The conditions probably, for the moment, I think, is in order, and we should. There must be a start.
Right.
I think we've started from somewhere. Yeah.
Right. Well, Honorable, I mean, we should start from somewhere, but could it have been extended to cover all public officials and not just appointees of the president?
Personally, I worry when I see government cars being used on weekends. I say this because of my experience in Connecticut. You don't see a government car on weekends. They're all packed. On Friday, but in our country, you see them going for funerals and weddings with government cars on weekends. And I really think that this should be extended to all civil servants.
Exactly.
And even more so to our voting population. Because if this asset declaration should pan out, people will be limited in how much they can have, which reflects on the people they take care of. Unfortunately, to a large extent, voters are of the opinion that everybody who's spending in government is because of government money. That is also another unfortunate misconception. When I always say this, that should Despite become an MP and he's spending, would you say that it's because of government largesse? No.
Isn't it therefore important that we do something about the asset declaration law itself so that the assets as declared are made public?
My only point I'm making is that, sometimes the perceptions are very wrong. And sometimes to some of our people, unfortunately, create that. They are very broke MPs, trust me. I mean, I literally was a broke MP because...
Is it?
Because
You
you're
said
sharing...
literally.
You're sharing the same. You're sharing the same salary as people with far less population. You're sharing the same common fund with people with far less population. I mean, I can state the likes of Amwakwata. He had literally fewer polling stations than I had, but he was Minister for Roads and had bigger war chest than I had.
How do you know that?
Oh, I mean, by virtue of the appropriations that we do, I know what goes to road ministry, and by
that's not
virtue
for
of
him.
that. No, I mean, what I'm saying is that the conditions of service of a minister of road is not the same as an MP.
So he enjoys conditions of service as a minister and then again as MP.
And as MP. So my key point here is that that makes it quite difficult. So as it stands now, I can almost tell you that a lot of members of parliament who have exited are very broke, and some even have to call for help in some days. It's not everything we talk about, but those who leech, those who feed off people in power also need to be talked to, because I think that is where the problems come, because a lot of unaccounted for monies literally end up as it is in the hands of our voters. And if the voter population doesn't change, it's going to be very difficult to live by these conditions of service. And as it is remarkable. I would commend them to do and make sure that people declare these assets. But I really think that the voter population also needs to be very well managed. As we sit down, people are voracious. They are even upset with you if you don't part with something when you don't even have anything, and then again, I'll also say that no matter what, as he was saying that, I cry when I look at Professor Mills's hometown. I mean, I won't be president, and then my hometown roads are like that. That one there, you have to agree.
Akufo-Addo did well.
No, I said
for Chebi and Abomoso. To a large extent. You understand? So these are these are some of the, as it is. I mean, if you are fisheries ministry, I'm sure every weekend you have fish in your house.
Right.
If you are labor, I'm sure you get employment for your people. I mean, these are things that come with the job you have. But overall, I think that there's more to be bitten, where government cars should not be moving on our roads on weekends or after 6 p.m.
You think that's an abuse?
I mean, these are things that I would expect that we move into, so that we curtail the misuse of government property. Not just we the politicians, the civil servants also have to be brought on board, so that all of us are into it. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that there are fewer politicians than civil servants. And if you look at the Auditor General's issues, many a times the infractions are by civil servants, not even politicians.
Yeah.
But everybody, when they see 5 million Ghana cedis missing, hey, political man has chopped the money.
You are the poster boy.
You are the poster boy, unfortunately. But in principle, I mean, listen, after we left power, some names have come up who had access to monies that none of us members of parliament had access to. And we were even saying, hey, we're in the wrong professional. Because, I mean, the quantums that some of us have seen are quantums that the entire 4 years, no member of parliament saw. But every Ghanaian thinks that, hey, MP, you understand? So I think that...
I also think that you should take some blame for that. Because when you are campaigning, you promise heaven on earth.
Well, the promises are there. But my point is that we are the punch bag for all sins of corruption. But in total, let me be on air and say that if members in the political class, like what I'm saying is that we who are the poster guys, if we are even scheming off, it is like less than 5%. But there are some positions in this country that nobody is looking at, and the way they are scheming off things is quite heavy. Well, I'm not here to mention positions, but I am saying that.
I think you also said the Signals Bureau.
After I am not saying anything.
I mean, these are your words.
So my key point here
I'm just borrowing.
is that these conditions of service and the way we have to act as government workers should go across to chief directors of institutions, and I say this,
and heads of other agencies,
so that the perception will be far reduced, and then those on the ground who are milking politicians should also reduce their appetite. I mean, if you get what I'm saying, because that is where these are the things that make it challenging. When you visit the chiefs, you can't leave the chief's house with nothing.
Of course.
There's a cultural element, and then I must also plead that to some extent, our politics must allow and really admit and agree to certain payments that are made official. I mean, I say this as Homo is coming. If you're an MP, you have to go and provide maize, oil, and all of these things. Where are you going to put it in your impress? I'm just saying, these are things that we need to, as a country, agree on and admit that our culture requires that if you are going to the chief's house, you part with something before you leave. And those things should not be colored by journalists as corrupt. And I think that, once again, these changes require that we touch on many aspects of our governmental workers, more so than just the 10% poster boys or girls.
Right, very well.
Yeah.
Larry, Assets Declaration Code of Conduct.
Okay. I think that it's there's a law that talks about, I mean, the declaration of assets
Yeah.
before assuming office, and that I think after when your tenure is over, you declare again whatever it is that you acquired. Now it's such that it's just put in an envelope and sealed and handed over to the Auditor General. So even the content is not known.
It's not public.
It's
So
not
where's
public.
the transparency?
Where's
in
the
there?
transparency
We
in
need
that?
to. But sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
people can't manage that information carefully. So for your security, admittedly, if people know how much I have, who knows? They'll be coming after me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Very well.
So it has to be managed carefully.
Exactly. So maybe there should be a relook at this
There should be
particular law.
exactly. There should be a real look, at that. I mean, we made the laws for ourselves. The laws didn't make us. So I mean, we should find a way around it such that
Because there's a pre and there's a post declaration.
Exactly.
So maybe after tenure, we can look at it and balance it. And see,
so that everybody is comfortable. You get it. Now, if there's any suspicion, the person should be afraid that listen, any president at all or a certain process can be triggered, and then we get to know.
The Chinese style is brutal.
Oh, okay.
They even, send you to firing squad.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay. So there's a process where we should, or if there's confusion, we should find out what is in that, and it should be published.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, how come we are all members of society? We know each other. How I got to where I am today. You get it.
Yeah.
If suddenly I'm living a lifestyle that is, let's say
unexplainable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I should be able to state where I got whatever from.
A prima facie can be established against
Thank you. But this thing where we pretend that something has been declared, and we don't even know what has been declared.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We are playing the ostrich with this matter.
Do you get it? Now, for me, I think that I wasn't happy with the president when he said that, some haven't declared. And that those who haven't declared, they are forfeiting.
3 months of their salary.
Who are they?
Exactly.
Mention
There are
their
calls
names.
for naming
Because
and
they are serving at your behest or at the behest of the country. So once you mention their name,
Like building permits.
Yeah.
It takes time in this country.
You see, this is a direct directive that they have defied.
Yeah.
So I think
a presidential directive.
Exactly.
What
Yeah.
else wouldn't they defy? Do you understand?
Yeah.
And how long would you continue to tolerate that? Do you understand? I mean, we should be, once a person knows that you can easily mention his name, he becomes very careful.
yeah.
We'll know by close of the day.
When?
Well, because he gave
Close
them.
of day tomorrow.
He
May
gave
7.
them tomorrow.
Yeah, May 7.
So we'll see who.
And then, so he'll be sacking some people.
Well, that's what we're expecting.
That's what he's saying, that if by close of day tomorrow you have not declared,
So,
then count yourself out of his administration.
So we'll see.
you see, that should have been the name. These are the names of the people who haven't declared. Okay? So that tomorrow morning, you and I will be monitoring. Okay, Asimesi, he's declared. Obintin,
And we are
he's
taking.
declared. Obintin Ninua has declared. Asimesi Ninua has declared. You get what
We can start with the people in the room when he was saying it.
Oh.
Perhaps he lifted his head and saw a face and decided that, okay, let me cool down.
We can start with the people because those people there, we know
But
them already.
some of these things, when you might think that you are protecting your people, but at the end of the day, they are obviously not helping your cause.
So you would rather some more decisive action?
Yeah, I
on
mean,
this
for
matter?
me, just mention the name. Next time he'll be careful. The others who could be made to replace them would be more careful. You get it? Because some of them actually lobbied for some of these positions.
Exactly.
You recall the president telling us that he had over how many? Is it 6,000 CVs that he's had to be going through? I mean, who are those who brought the CV? What is their level of competence?
Even President Kra, that shouldn't be your job.
Well,
Unfortunately.
but so
There should be a committee that recommends to you.
So after submitting a CV to me, then you end up defying my orders to declare your assets. My friend, obviously
and I also think that we need to figure out a way to streamline property registration and things like that.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, I mean, it's a problem in this country. if you haven't had your building permits. And you know how you can buy land and it takes sometimes a decade before you get your land title. So these are the challenges in our system.
And we know properties registered in names of relatives.
So we need to get it done right with the land title registration and all of those things, which will then improve on our asset declaration.
So on the other one,
the code of conduct.
The code of conduct.
We hear it has ruffled some feathers in certain quarters.
Why?
People had their own plans, but the
it
code of
said
conduct
you shouldn't take a gift, more than 20,000.
Yeah.
If it's more, you have to declare. You shouldn't buy state property. You shouldn't do what else?
Maybe your family is bad from buying state property. By virtue of your position.
And then ministerial travels and so on will have to be approved by the
chief of staff.
The chief of staff.
Yeah.
Well, we pray it works. We pray it works. But what I heard that most often it's not the politicians.
Well, I mean,
so that you hear some of these travels and so on, and the minister obviously is doing, a lower class trip, but then the chief director, he's doing a higher class, first class. And most often, because you and I as reporters don't know them, even when we met them in the aircraft, you don't know that he's the one, so you bypass him. Yeah. But because you know Honorable, as soon as you see him in the first, I say, yes, he can know.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So I mean, what the corruption around the politicians, it's massively reported. But those around the technical guys, they have a way of concealing it. How many times you and I haven't received reports from, a chief director or his messenger about how, Minister A politician, has done this, has done that. You remember Muntaka? And how he supposedly bought Chichinga, and then which other one? Chichinga and diapers.
Soccer, this thing.
For
Brazil.
Yes, okay. World Cup. Yeah, sure. No, but Muntaka's own happened under President Mills.
Yeah, that's the Chichinga and diapers.
Chichinga and diapers. That they brought the thing before him, and then he just approved of it because he has a baby, so Honorable just signed, and then he signed. The next moment he was kicked out of government. Do you get it? Who did that? It was
the technical people.
Yeah, the technical people who did that. After that, did we hear any other thing from that same ministry again about technical guys' involvement in some of these things? So, we should think deeper. And then make the laws more operational, so that it cuts across everybody. The politicians can have a set of rules governing them, and then the technical guys shouldn't have a different set of rules. The corruption at that level. Charlie, the money those guys are blowing, you have no freaking idea.
We need to look into it. Very well, gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been great, very insightful. Thank you so much. The Chairman Emeritus was here, Joseph Adekoka, former Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC. Dixon Adumaku Kisi, former Member of Parliament for Anya Soutum, and then Larry Dogbe, editor of the Herald newspaper. I am Nanatufo Boateng. This has been the News Review segment here on Breakfast Daily. Many thanks for your time. We have a lot more on the show for you. Don't go away.